This feels like the best episode of Raw Zaphon in Ryvius form, if y'all know what I'm talking about. Hey everybody, welcome back to another Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, and we're back to another Infinite Ryvius, the penultimate episode, as it were. Episode 25 out of 26. We are almost near the end, which means at some point I'll be putting up a notice, probably with the next schedule that I put out about fan input on character rankings, because I always do one of those at least 1 or 2 weeks before we finish a show, so that when I do my personal rankings, I can include y'all's scores with it, and we can do a community character poll. So keep an eye out for that if you want to add your voice into the tier chart. First off, though, we do have a board, as we always do. And with the board comes the board changelog. Not a lot here. I mean, I guess conceivably I could have split everybody up into who's on the Ryvius and who is on the Vital Garter. Or, sorry, who's on the Ryvius, who's on the lift ship. Technically, nobody's on the Vital Garter. The thing has no place for people. But I didn't. I literally only thought about doing that right now as I'm talking out loud. I guess maybe if the end of this episode, here's a problem. We're on the penultimate episode. I don't know what's going to change here. I could say if that remains the same right now, I could conceivably before next episode, but I guess that's a wait and see moment. The current board changelog is all of 2 items, which is I added Reiko to the Fina cult because, apparently that's where she went. And I added a purple line between Schick and Caravana because, can I kiss you if we survive this? Apparently, that's been a thing. That's been a thing that's been developing that I have not paid any attention to. All right. Well, again, that's the board. It's the board changelogs. Of course, the board will be available in the description below for anybody that doesn't want to deal with trying to sort out what's going on down here. Always, though, I do have notes, and leading into that, I would have debated before that Nea took any real action in Koji's defense by talking down Fina. Only in so much that Nea just kind of talks in front of people a lot, and it's mostly just confusing. I will say that this is the first time we've seen them physically intercede on someone's behalf. In this case, carrying Koji to somewhere people could find and help him. Now that is undebatable. I really hope Yuki's hesitation in the hallway was a reconsideration of his views towards his brother. I still think Yuki is a piece of shit, most of the time, regardless of what he does to save the ship. The way he repeatedly beats on Koji isn't much better than shooting him was. Worse, he must have walked some distance down the hall with Akumi and Stein before stopping to stare at them and have his moment against the wall. Because otherwise, he would have noticed Fina beating Koji against the wall and strangling him, or Nea talking Fina down and carrying Koji away. Meaning this is either sudden realization after the fact, or Yuki is still a piece of shit and something else is going on. The bubble at Seer 7 was being caused by an object at the center of it, meaning one of the Vaya creatures was doing it. The characters figure it out themselves that the Ryvius' abilities must come from these creatures, and all the Vaya ships we've seen so far use gravity in some way. I'd argue the drill ship probably used it as propulsion, since it wasn't mentioned specifically that it was doing anything gravity specific. I figure this was likely a pretty obvious observation by this point, but I kind of assumed each Sphinx had their own powers and hadn't actually put together that each of them was harnessing a gravity-related power. So if you are out there watching this, had already figured that out, then this is just a note for me. I know I cheered on Luxon calling out for a nursing department student from the crowd as another form of his leadership, but something I didn't think of in the moment was the consideration that not everyone in the hold was there due to Stein's meddling. I'd have to think that maybe a large portion of these people were E rank for actually having been E rank, meaning that the nursing student you'd find down here would most likely be the worst on the ship. Thankfully, we had Criff, who wasn't here for being E rank, but was just hiding. Again, it's like going to detention and trying to find. Well, no, people from detention are typically there because of, causing problems, not because they're bad students. And again, it's like going to everybody who got an F in class and saying, hey, we need your help. Akumi bringing Azumi onto the lift ship was clearly a bad sign. We know they eventually abandoned the Ryvius and herd a bunch of people onto the lift ship, but Azumi's appearance there essentially foretold that happening. Akumi would only keep Azumi in the safest place. If he moved her off of the Ryvius, then that clearly said that he didn't think that the Ryvius was going to make it, or that he always meant to leave them on the lift ship. Leave on the lift ship. Sorry, I am making a lot of mistakes today, which I explained in a previous episode. I apologize. I have to wonder what is up with the Gespenst Sphinx, as it seems to be opposed to Naya, or at least grinning at the coming combat between them. As our only other Anthros fix so far, it's a fairly unique position in the show. It also seems that much more developed in that it isn't calling out the thoughts of everyone in its backyard. Could be that it's latched on to its captain figure the way Nea has latched on to Koji, and it's just internally mimicking what Conrad is doing inside. Renegade Blue is thus far the best version of Blue since the one that took out the infiltrators at the start of the show. Just a note about Blue. Blue notes. So, merging with the Via was some sort of special ability of the you know what I'm saying, the other ship. I'm not exactly sure what it adds, though. More gravity control or something? We see Via shooting up out of the Gadult, but since the Gespenst already breached the Gadult, I have to assume that these Via are just independently attacking the Ryvius of their own volition. I guess something that I've been questioning ever since I figured out what a Sphinx was is where is the Ryvius' Sphinx? Clearly, Nea herself is just a projection of it, but ever since I started questioning what that green bit on the front of the Ryvius was, I've been asking myself if that was the Sphinx or if the Vital Garter itself was the Sphinx. The fact that the Gespenst Vital Garter was destroyed seems to indicate that that isn't the Sphinx itself, especially considering past ships have had an object on the bridge that appeared to be the Sphinx outside of their Vital Garter equivalents. Also talking about the Gespenst Vital Garter, I don't know what the Gespenst Vital Garter does or was meant to do, because all it did was fly up to a gun and get shot in the face. Very anticlimactic. And my final note here, look how well the Luxon commanded bridge was doing, working as a team. Exactly what I was talking about before. It's a shame that in this moment where even Pat was showing admiration, we know it'll all come crashing down around him once they get boarded, as per the next time on. I'm still rooting for a Luxon comeback. Unfortunately, it appears, penultimate episode, he's going to get removed from that. Maybe he'll get saved by his dad, who's apparently a big shot, as we heard before. between him and his conversation with Stein. I don't have a lot of hope for it, though. That said, though, that is all the notes. That was the board. Nothing left to do but to hop on into it.
But before we get started,
make sure that you hit the like button,
hit that subscribe button,
comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this,
unfiltered,
uncensored,
and uncut,
as well as some early access stuff,
you can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
Oh, when they said the Darjeeling one, I was worried that the Tachyon Pulse was happening again. Well, Conrad did say that the Ryvius had, or was stronger than them, even though the Ryvius people think that their ship is stronger than theirs. Yeah, again, I guess remember that most people don't know that this is a child-run ship. I hope that message is, you shot me, fuck you. Because I don't know exactly what message Koji's going to pass across. Especially given the idea that Koji's whole modus operandi so far has been, we don't need tomorrow. All that matters is right now. I mean, even the past element. Fina is the one trying to run from the past. Koji's whole thing has been literally the past is what defines us as people. I really don't know. I also don't know what really comes of it. Literally, he's going to go out there in a ship that he's not that good at piloting, as per the early episodes, in the middle of a combat scenario, to what? Try and get close to the Vital Garter, which is itself trying to defend itself from attack? It just doesn't seem like a very good plan. Add on top of that Koji is injured to the point where he can barely talk. I'm guessing Nea is really going to have to help him here. Oh, add on to that Nea wants to send a communication to, I guess, the other Sphinx as well. Because it seemed like she was very much agreeing with the concept of sending a message when Koji says it. But I don't know if that's just a matter of her tapping into Koji's thoughts, or if she is understanding something herself. Okay, I guess they do add extra gravity. I thought they were going to add extra armor for a second. Stein, you have become just the worst. Granted, over a long period of time, but... Oh, they have more than one Vital Garter. Okay. At the very least, that makes the first one getting shot in the face matter a little less. Okay, never mind. Nea is the Vital Garter. That seemed heavily implied by that shot. And yet the other guy, the other Sphinx, doesn't seem to be falling apart for getting shot in the face. See, they're trying to find the Sphinx. Maybe I was right about the whole body separating from the mind thing. Yeah, to be fair, she's been looking for parts of her outfit the whole time. Oddity. I think we all have an Uncle John, but I mean, I have an Uncle John too, so hearing her just call out Uncle John is very weird. I would hate getting shot with that shit. I mean, the idea of being restrained. But at least it's non-lethal shit that they're shooting them with. They're just flat out shooting them. How the fuck is Koji gonna stop them? Especially in his condition. The only way I see this working is if somehow Blue snuck onto this ship with them. See, even Luxon is on board with this. Okay, even the Vital Garter can merge with Morvaya. But again, what does it really do? Because we don't see how strong it is to begin with, let alone how much stronger it is merged. Oh, okay, it heals them. If Stein is to be believed. Again, big looks and talk, unfortunately. Oh. Go figure that Blue would be better than the entire invading crew. Give me that back. Okay, maybe Blue becomes a cool badass at the end. Oh no, Luxon. Don't get yourself killed. Maybe this explains the opening that has Blue and Luxon standing side by side. Ah, I love it. I love it up until they get themselves killed. They really trick you on the next time on, where it looks like they've boarded the bridge. But in fact, it's the scene where Blue is kicking the guy's ass.
気負いすぎたんだな。なんとかしなきゃ。俺がって10年もそうやってきたから自分がよく分かんなくなって勇気に乗されてからもっと最悪でさ、何かあってもまあいいや、ちょっと我慢すればいい、仕方ないかって。でもそれじゃダメなんだな。ようやく分かった。アホみたいに時間がかかったけど、
Well, I mean, a lot of time and a lot of beatings. And don't ignore Nea just on top as well. Maybe Nea is the Sphinx? Maybe there is no, like, brain. Maybe she just is it. Man, turning into the Ryvius version of a mobile armor. Despite the fact it looked like they weren't going to make it at all, I guess they did. This feels like the best episode of Ra Zaphon in Ryvius form, if you all know what I'm talking about. The scene where the woman is declaring her love and then getting beaten all across the room because they're fighting a representation of it in a Dolan form. Couldn't happen to worse people. No, never mind. They really did just get captured. Why are you such a dick? I guess you have like no ability to talk. I guess my only hope here is that that's just a physical representation of her and is not actually her. That she might still be back on the Ryvius, that little green dome thing. Weird that the adult was being represented by waterfalls. That's a, so I guess that's what gravity's doing to it. Don't smirk. Even if you're doing it for her own good, don't smirk at her as you're leaving her behind. Is Koji about to turn into the bad guy? I mean, there's a lot of bad people on the show. I just mean... I kind of feel like he's about to take revenge on Azumi for what Akumi did. Is that gonna be his... That wouldn't be his daughter? So I don't know where I'm even coming up with that, but the fact that you can see her. Not again, I guess. Yeah, you were wrong. Your argument should have been, you can't shoot us all. Thought you killed me, didn't you? Ah, I was right. Fucking guessed out of nowhere. I guess that's why the other Vaya were angry? Weird, we did see that, and I didn't put it together then. What a fucking weird turnaround. Better not shoot himself in the head. Nope. Never mind. That was too fucking quick. You wouldn't know that, though. They've literally been trying to kill you the whole time. You don't know what happened to Conrad. That's why I said in my notes. Legitimately not for her. She's a multiple murderer. Yeah, I mean, the person who killed two people is definitely going to try and get rid of their past. Of course it's Stein. Who would you guess? You shot me. How about that? Oh, come on, Rafra. Pick a better parent, master, whatever. By all accounts, you should think you would get killed if you surrendered. half a second I thought he was just gonna run out of bullets.
おいやめてよねまだ敵は残ってる俺はみんなを守る梢を守らなきゃいけないんだ
I mean, granted, the enemy hasn't attacked you in a little while now.
正しいと思ってんだなイクミ死んでくれ正しいなら俺が間違ってるならバカ兄弟でしょ
Oh, I legit thought Nea was gonna show up again.
イクミの好きにさせてやってくれあんた頼む
Oh, good Luxon. Luxon and Julie, my two favorites from the beginning.
なんでそんなのが来るんだよ
もう無理しなくていいのよ。ごめんなさい。ありがとう。
Well, if no one shoots themselves in the head by the end of this, there's going to be a lot of therapy.
愛し合ってたのにダメだってだからこんなんじゃ
I don't know if I guessed that, but it really felt like that. Not that I would have admitted it to a bunch of people in a room that I was pointing a gun at. What a bunch of fucked up people now. Yeah, I guess you can't have that conversation now. What would you even say anymore?
多くの犠牲者を出した通称リバイアス事件において業務上過失致死の疑いで身柄を
What is the next episode gonna be? Oh, that guy. The guy who's walking his dog at the park.
発端ともいえるバイヤー計画の全貌を明らかにしましたこのバイヤー計画とはゲドルト内に生息している未知なる地生体の能力を利用して外洋型甲虫河川艦を建造しようというものでベルコビッチ容疑者を中心に多数の人間が関係していたものと
Not a big fan of the trope where the news just instantly calls out everything that happened so far.
収束次第お伝えする予定です
2225年12月16日俺たちの旅が終わった
What a fucking episode. I will say this felt very rushed. Like, this could have been another 3 episodes, 4 episodes even. And it's exactly the opposite of the ending of the show that I thought we were going to get. I legitimately thought everyone was going to fucking die. I thought Conrad was going to kill them all. Or they were going to kill each other. Like, is the next episode going to be the fallout? Like, they go back to their homes and we see what happens after the fact? I mean, I'm happy Luxon got his, like, comeuppance. Like, he became a hero. But at the end of the day, like, he didn't suffer as much as everybody else. I mean, he kind of did. But, I mean, look at how, like, again, Kumi winds up at the end of this. The oddity of showing Koji over the final episode tomorrow, when Koji's thing, or at least like 4 episodes ago, is we don't need tomorrow. Okay, so the thing here is, we obviously record these live, and in the chat we have a number of people who have come to watch. Philippe, I believe. Sorry, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm bad with names. Not gonna lie, it is a rushed ending in my opinion, but looking back at all the time they took setting things up, it paid off. I don't disagree that it paid off. It did a good job. It just felt like this is stuff that required more time to settle. Like, Nea being a Sphinx inhabiting his dead daughter's body. That could have been set up better, but I mean, I'm good for the instant reveal, but the quickness he goes from, oh, that's what you did, point gun at, and then comes to his own realization, and then save everybody. They're all kids. Bam. That needed more time, or at least more internal conversation. How many episodes did we do where Naya just reflects on the internal monologues of all the characters on the ship? Or we set up all of those things about who each character is and what their goals are, and check back in with them through the course of the show about how the Sphinx's backyard effect has been affecting them and their outlook on things. To have Conrad just all of a sudden, you know what, never mind, I was wrong. Bam! It just way too quick. Also the element that of Koji's we should just surrender when he doesn't know what's going on outside, and for all he knows, surrender would get them killed. For me, that just doesn't make a lot of sense. Of course, though, there is the element that Koji doesn't make a lot of sense most of the time. His opinions are contrary to what seems like the obvious choice in the moment. But no, I will agree, it pays off, and that is a fairly good ending. Again, I also don't like the news being the instant purveyor of, hey, everything that's been happening so far. Again, additionally, though, we also have Sergeant Pepper. My favorite part is where Pat goes, Luxon is cool, after calling him uncool so many times all this time. And yeah, I agree with that, only because I'm so much on Luxon's side. I think I said early on that Julie was my favorite character, and then I brought out Luxon as my second. It was either, no, sorry, I think Julie and Blue were my two favorites. Then Blue does all of his shit, and I'm like, maybe Julie and Luxon, because after Luxon gets kicked out, he starts becoming a responsible person. And then I just, was on the Luxon train after that. So Luxon getting wins, I'm all for. Granted, he takes one last look at the whole Julie-Blue relationship, and we see him charging down the hallway. He's like, I've got nothing left. I got nothing left to lose. It's like, okay, cool. I just appreciate that he gets win after win here, and I'm hoping we see more from him after the fact, because conceivably, he did the best job of anybody on the Ryvius here at the very end, right? Not only did he keep the ship going for every job that he was responsible for, he kept a little kid safe, no matter how many dangerous events he was in. And then there at the very end, he took control and led everybody back to victory. I have to think that if they're, for some reason, decide to grade all of these kids on their school trip, that Luxon's going to come out of this with glowing reviews. So I have to think that this entire thing is a win for Luxon, as opposed to the other characters like Stein or Akumi. Like, Akumi shot one of his cohorts in the leg. I think that was Brian, right, that he shot. And when he gets stopped from literally killing a guy in cold blood, like a guy who's just talking to him, and faced with the entire "we're all here to rescue you" force, just starts sobbing and admits to incest. Like, why? Why would you just bring that up literally at your lowest point? Like, I'm in a ditch. I can't make this ditch any deeper, but let me try. I think we all could have just inferred what was going on. But he decided to just say it out loud. I'm not exactly sure what happened with Naya and the Gespenst Via, because she just says this is not enjoyable, when it feels like that dude was just kicking her ass, and then he disappears. Oh, sorry. Was there a background element that I may have missed where the Via Garter of the Gespenst gets destroyed while she's talking about that? So that's why he goes away? if I missed that in the background, obviously I'll pick that back up in my notes. Because I feel like that there's got to be an explanation. I just must have missed it. I never added Angie to the board because even though it was a relation to Conrad, she was just dead. Like, didn't exist until Conrad is coughing up blood and mentions them in passing. I think I mentioned them in a note before. There was nothing to indicate. Actually, no, that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Is there something that happens with Nea between the episode where Conrad's forces go to attack the Ryvius and afterwards? Because the element there that's confusing to me is that we've seen Nea before Angie gets killed. Or I think maybe the confusion I'm having here, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't think this is ever coming back up again. Was the attack that Angie gets killed in the attack when the Ryvius from 10 years ago was being trying to be captured, and it was called the Bratica? Because my interpretation of the events from Conrad's memory was the attack from early on in the season when they're trying to capture the Ryvius the first time after the infiltrators had failed and they sent the whole fleet. I thought that's the attack that Angie gets killed in. If the implication is that the attack that Angie gets killed in is the one that happened 10 years ago, then never mind. It's just the element that Nea is wandering around like the first couple of episodes, and after that would be the attack that I thought that Angie died in. Again, the problem here is this stuff introduced way later, and it feels kind of rushed near the end. Again, Felipe says, as far as I know, this was planned to be a 50-episode show, but it got shorter due to creative decisions. Otherwise, it would have gone to the Monster of the Week way. I appreciate that it didn't go Monster of the Week. Well, kind of it did. It kind of did, except the Monster of the Week in this case was other people, right? Other people were just horrible to one another. In that case, they were Monster of the Week instead of the Via being Monster of the Week, although that would have gone a ways to explaining why they kept forming up to attack the Ryvius. It would have been Monster of the Week, Godzilla 2000, essentially. Both, Sergeant Pepper says, both VGs got destroyed, but they show a short shot at the end where Maya was just healing alone with no will to do anything anymore. I guess I just missed that. Technically, Angie was saved by Nea. During the capture of the Vi operation, Nea is basically using Angie's body. They are fused in one being. Yeah, I picked that up. Sorry, that was also said by Felipe. And Sergeant Pepper saying, yes, the incident happened 10 years ago. Okay, I mean, granted, I guess I just got that mixed up because the attack that they send with Conrad brings all of his ships in looked almost exactly the same to me as the grayscale flashback of the attack happening 10 years ago. Those two events essentially looked the same. So that's where my confusion lay in that matter. So, killed 10 years ago, memory problems. I guess the Sphinx is using the backyard to read everyone's minds, although technically the backyard is still screwing with everybody's thought processes. But I guess not everybody's thought processes, because some people are still more cognizant than others. Well, either way, this was our penultimate episode. Oh, sorry. One last read from the comments here. When Conrad first appeared on the first episode, he goes, "Finally, I'll put a closure to that mistake," referring to the incident 10 years ago. Yeah. I mean, I get that. I get that now, but there was always something going on, even with my notes from the very first episodes where I'm referring to the what is the Bratica. He's referring to a thing that we get no information on until later on. and I kind of just lose the thread when it comes to Conrad, because specifically there is no conversation happening until he reappears. And when he reappears, I'm so used to seeing him in the full-on helmet getup that I didn't even instantly recognize that it was Conrad. Felipe saying also Akumi admitting to having an incestuous relationship with his sister is out of nowhere. I mean, I don't think it's out of nowhere. The dude is so screwed up about her and his relationship with Azumi and her stand-in as his sister. I think you could have read that. I think you could have read that pretty easy. I don't remember if I made any notes about it. I think that I did, but if I didn't, then, I mean, you could take it whatever way you want. Maybe I'm just saying it after the fact, but I'm pretty sure there was something going on there. I did mention Akumi's sister a lot, very specifically on how weird it was in the opening, the way that he's looking at her, and the way that she's drawn, considering that they're siblings. I don't think it was out of nowhere. It's certainly out of left field, but it's not particularly out of nowhere. Anyway, as I said, this was the penultimate episode. We have one more episode to go. I will come back with notes to further delve into all the particulars of what happened here in this, again, I'm going to say it's fairly rushed ending, but still somewhat satisfying. Again, it has elements of, if you don't know what episode of Raw-Zaphon I'm talking about, just look up best episode Raw-Zaphon. You'll completely understand how I would pick up the similarities between the Vital Garter fight and what happened to Nea. Otherwise, though, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap up here for today. So, once again, I have been Theta. This has been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video and what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?